In the last video I mentioned that most of our problems are psychological problems. They only exist in our mind, or our mind is creating all these problems. We could for example be on a beach in Hawaii, in paradise, but still create hell because we may be thinking because we are thinking about something that happens 20 years ago, or something we did 20 years ago, and we still suffer from it. So we can be in a beautiful place like in a beach in Hawaii but still feel miserable, and that is kind of fascinating but also very sad. But that is because our mind is creating so many problems that not really are problems at all. I heard a good expression from Eckhart, or a good practice this morning, when he said that try to practice adding no thought to your situation. So whatever is happening right now, whatever complaint you have, or whatever you think should not be happening, like just look at the situation and just try to add no thought to it, and see what the situation looks like when you have no thought about the situation. That's very interesting to practice, and you just realize that there is just a situation, like this, the situation just is as it is. But when you add thought to it, when you add a story to it, it can become very complicated and very difficult, and you can have so many different thoughts about it, and then you can really trigger your emotions, and then you can feel really upset, angry, or sad, or miserable, even though you might be on a beach in Hawaii. So that is what the mind is capable of, and today I want to talk more about that, because we could say that we live in two dimensions. One psychological dimension and one spiritual dimension. We can also say that we live on a horizontal dimension and one vertical dimension. And the horizontal dimension is the psychological dimension, and the vertical dimension is the spiritual dimension. An analogy that Eckhart Tolle uses sometimes that I like, because it's better, it makes it better or more easy to understand what this means practically, is like, look at the horizontal dimension as the surface of a lake, and the vertical dimension, the spiritual dimension, as the bottom of a lake. And I'm gonna write this here. Shouldn't be too difficult. So this is the surface of the lake, and this is the psychological dimension. And here exist all our mind-made problems, like for example worry, stress, fear, anxiety, low self-esteem, almost esteem, have to write outside the board, and maybe bad self-confidence. So here exist all our psychological problems. But then we have the vertical dimension, the spiritual dimension, which is the bottom of the lake. And here it is always calm and peaceful. So no matter what is going on in our life, no matter how much it storms up here, no matter what we're going through, it is always calm and peaceful here in the bottom of the lake. So we can really feel calm and peaceful even though we're going through difficult situations. So we could say like the vertical dimension cuts through all our mind-made problems. And I like this analogy because to me it makes it more easy to understand. And also when I have a stressful life or worry too much, or yeah, just going through something, you know, thinking too much, overthinking, I just realized that, okay, this is just the psychological dimension that I'm focused on now. And I try to be aware of the spiritual dimension where there are no problems. It's always calm and peaceful, no matter how my life look like at the horizontal dimension, as on the surface of the lake. So if you feel anxious or stressed or worried or fearful, or if you're looking down on yourself, or if you don't have any confidence in what you're going through, just realize that those things don't exist in the spiritual dimension. So here we can say, here are all the things we think we are, and here is what we truly are. And that is why this is our primary purpose, to find this spiritual dimension within us, because then our state becomes more quiet and peaceful, and then you can take better action when you're acting from here instead of acting from here. Because if you're very stressed, fearful, you're not really in control, you're just reactive. But if you're calm and peaceful, you become more proactive. You can take better actions because you're not acting from these states. So you take better action. That's why they call in Buddhism right action or skilled action. If you take action from here, that's an unskilled action. So it usually only creates more drama and more chaos in your life. That's why the world looks like it is, or looks like it does. That's why we're destroying the world, because we're acting from the surface of the lake, because that is what we only talk about on TV, on the news, in schools. Like we're only talking about this level, so we don't know this level exists. We don't know about the spiritual dimension. Maybe 90% of the population is living on the surface, and like 10% are aware of the spiritual dimension. That's why we're destroying the world right now. As long as we are acting from this surface level, we will just keep on doing the same things and go deeper down into this crisis that we are in. I like what Winston Churchill said in the middle of World War II. He said, "This is not the end, this is not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning." And maybe we are in a similar situation right now, because it feels like more and more people are starting to wake up. It feels like more and more people are realizing that maybe we haven't acting in such a good way. Maybe because of the pandemic, the climate change, the economy, the war now between Russia and Ukraine. It feels like more and more people are realizing that maybe we aren't heading in the right direction. And maybe it's time to start to take different actions. And I think the best way to start to take different actions is by realizing this spiritual dimension within us. But yeah, so hopefully we are in the end of the beginning, but maybe we are still in the beginning. It's hard to say. People usually only change when they reach a crisis point, and maybe we are not there yet. Maybe we have to destroy the earth a little more and ourselves a little more before we start to really change. But hopefully we are in the end of the beginning, but we'll see. But that's why I like this analogy with the surface and the bottom of the lake. And that's also why I like the cross so much, the symbol of the cross, because that also represents the horizontal dimension and the vertical dimension. And yeah, so I think that's a good, especially now when we're heading closer to Christmas, maybe we'll see this symbol more. And I like to reflect on this symbol when I see it, especially in church. I like the atmosphere in the church, and I like when I see the symbol of the cross and also Jesus on the cross, that no matter what we're going through here on the horizontal dimension, we can still feel peaceful here on the vertical dimension, because here we are whole. Everything is okay here. So yeah, That's my message for today. I thank you very much for watching. Please click the like button if you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want. And I see you in the next video.